I'd like to introduce you to Adam Risteau of Warren, PA. I've met you once before,
hmm
and this is really the first time we've talked about anything. Uh, I
Yeah, the original time we met was for one of NAFCO's members. He was holding a film festival, was it, for himself? And we got to watch some of that. But I was very new into this whole group that I'm now in at that time, so I didn't really know how to approach people and commiserate and stuff.
well, I'm not very outgoing to begin with, uh, but it was Michael Gaffner's at one of our dinner and movie events,
Yep.
and I understand you're a screenwriter and you're involved with Ma Media Works.
Yes. Mom Media Works was created by Mike Gaffner, and I've been friends with Mike for a while. We've worked together a few different times, specifically when the 48-hour film festival was being hosted down in Pittsburgh. We did Vic together. I was part of a team of writers that put that together, and Mike and I have stayed in contact ever since. And recently, we connected, and we've stayed connected through you know our mutual abilities and stuff. And yeah, we've been working together on some mob projects, trying to create something that can kind of transcend the lower budget stuff that they've done in the past. And it's very neat because this is one of the first times where I've been able to use my skills to their full abilities.
You're a screenwriter. Mike talked quite a bit about uh, your screenwriting in his interview. How did you become a screenwriter? Tell me your story.
Well, my story starts in kindergarten. Believe it or not, I've been writing somehow, some way, for a long time now. Whether it be novels back then, picture books if I had to. I've always wanted to tell a story. But growing up, I actually did not have TV of any kind. I did have movies, but TV shows in the 90s were kind of a huge deal in school. And I kind of felt left out for a while there because people would be talking about this murder mystery or that science fiction thing, and I didn't know what in the heck they were going on about. So a lot of the time I just sit there and be quiet and get through my day. So flash forward, I got some Star Trek memorabilia for Christmas that year, and one thing was a whole bunch of like encyclopedia CDs for Star Trek, which I'm a huge Trekkie. I always have been. Um, but up to that point, I had never actually watched the TV series. I had only seen the movies. So I was fiddling around with those CDs, and I found out that the CDs actually held every single script of every single Star Trek episode for the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, which at that time were the two completed series. Star Trek Voyager was halfway through its run, I think, when I got those. So I actually read, not watched, but read every single Next Gen script and every single Deep Space Nine script. I looked up online, which, back then it was dial up if you were lucky. I looked up online, what exactly this new type of writing was, and I got used to it. And I started practicing my own from there, with my own original series ideas and things like that. So I ended up getting good at script writing because I was reading scripts, because I specifically did not have television. So that's pretty much my story. Um, and I've gotten to the point where I like script writing better than I do any other form of writing. And with the advent of me working with Mom Media Works, it's become a really, really cool opportunity for me to finally be able to show my skills beyond pipe dreams, you know?
In those early scripts, were you writing your own universes, or did you try to write some Star Trek fan episodes? Or I'm
Oh,
just
yeah. It always starts with the Star Trek fan episodes if you're a Trekkie. I don't know a single person who doesn't have their own Star Trek stories. I started writing for a old website called Starbase 49, and it was kind of a role play forum that a few of us ended up putting together. It got very popular for a while, and when when I was doing that, I started also branching out into original ideas. I have one I call Universal Wars, which is a Star Trek-esque, Battlestar Galactica-esque hybrid. Um, it's it's one of those things that's always a evolving idea, and basically it's these it's let's see here. It's kind of a government espionage story, only it's got a space theme to it. And I've been writing that steadily since I was in 7th grade, I think. But with the uh, with the crackdown on a show called Axanar, the idea of doing any kind of Star Trek scripts just for fun, like fan films, really got the kibosh put to them because CBS really um, became very strict towards its fans and what they could do when their fans were essentially doing a better job of Star Trek than CBS was. So yeah, I had a few series that I did that were original, but right now I'm working on things like Howitzer Tales that Mike Gaffner created originally. I'm trying to put that into a format that would be pleasing to a mass audience, and trying to sell that as, you know, more than just a small budget indie film.
Hey guys, this is Vance from No Budget Productions.
uh, just out of curiosity, do you know a guy named Vance Major Owen?
Heard of him? I believe I haven't gotten to meet him yet.
Because he's done about 60 Star Trek fan films, and he's still making them. I just thought maybe you might
Oh,
have.
really?
Yes,
Okay. Um, it's not a name that's familiar to me. I did I did have the fortune of getting to know the group that did the Hidden Frontier series, which was a complete green screen series that was based in the Star Trek universe. That actually has quite a few moments from its fan film pulled for novelizations in the Star Trek universe. Um, they did something like 74 episodes alone, but I got to really get to know that group of people through their online forum over a number of years. But that's really the only group I got to talk to recently. Mob Media Works was able to get a hold of Alec Peters, the gentleman who's actually responsible for Star Trek Axanar, and who has been fighting for fan rights to create fan films against CBS. But we unfortunately did not get to do anything major with him just because our schedules never seem to sync up very well. He's I believe out in LA, and of course we're here in Pennsylvania, so there's a time difference.
Yes, there's always a time difference. I was
Yeah.
talking to someone from Gambia today, which is like uh 4 hours difference. And I have friends in Uganda and friends in Australia, so time difference is always a problem with collaborations. Uh, are you working on a? Tell me about the scripts you're currently working on with Maw Media Works.
Well, right now with the COVID-19 shutdowns, Mike actually has been staying with me this entire time. So we've been doing some small stuff. We did the NFS 60 challenge, which is a create a film under 60 seconds that tells the story. It was a challenge on YouTube. We participated in that, and we got quite a few views. In fact, we get a few more views every day. It hasn't run extinct yet. We have some bigger projects that we were in the process of. We actually fully funded an episode of Howitzer Tales. We have a 10 episode arc we're planning on doing for Howitzer Tales that fully tells the story of both the history of Howitzer Tales and the characterization in Howitzer Tales, which it's always kind of been one or the other with the previous shows, just because it's been hard to fund these things around here. But this one we were fortunate enough to fully fund. We'll be putting out The Boogeyman here as soon as this COVID-19 lockdown is lifted, which right now as we speak, it's been extended to May 8th. So who knows if there's another extension beyond that. But The Boogeyman is basically centric about a main character named Dana Falco, who is a schizophrenic person who's been pushed into a situation where she also has to maintain an aura of leadership, and she isn't quite sure how to do that, and it's exhausting, and she's still having to put up with her own mental disorder because it doesn't, of course, just magically go away. It doesn't Hollywood. And she's trying to balance her own personal issues with the fact that she's trying to remain strong for this world. There's a few select people who show up in this first episode who are also going to be continuous characters in it. One thing I will say is that Mom Media Works has some of the most awesome actors and actresses. They are so supportive of Mike's vision. And one thing about Universal Wars or anything I've ever come up with before is that I have never found people who are as active and supporting as the people that are with Mike and his crew. So that's very exciting to me. And with Boogeyman, all it really takes at this point is to get out there and shoot the film, and we'll have it out there. But unfortunately, with the COVID lockdown, it is a little bit more difficult. And then once we get Boogeyman done, we do have 9 other episodes, and we've kind of scored it to be a gradual increase in budget. And we're hoping that as each episode goes out, we prove ourselves a little bit more. and we gain a bigger following that wants to support us a little bit heavier each time. We're looking into grants, and of course, we've actually had some success just because we started really hitting the social media with the Small Media Works stuff. We've had some success on Twitter with meeting up with SAG and AFTRA. How do you say that? AFTRA.
After.
We've had some union actors contact us wanting to actually join in the production. So that says to me that we've got something special in Howitzer Tales. There's something more there than just a YouTube film, and I'm really hoping that we can prove ourselves first on YouTube and then use that as a launch point to something larger. Netflix, Hulu. Howitzer Tales, I think, is best as a television series, but then again, that's my own opinion. And I'm very excited about what we're doing. I think that Howitzer Tales has the ability to go all the way with all the background on characters and all the history it shares.
So you're pretty invested in the Howitzer Tales. Are there any other projects bouncing around the back of your mind you'd like to pursue as well?
Well, I would love to get Universal Wars back up and running. I did write an audio play, which for any viewers who aren't sure what that is, it's like a old time radio show that is based off of my original idea for Universal Wars. It tells the history of it. So I would love to piggyback my stuff off of this, but I can say if you were listening earlier, you heard me try to explain, Universal Wars and what that is, and I stumbled over my own tongue 50,000 times. But with Howitzer, I think I knew exactly what to say. So I have to admit that while Howitzer Tales is this thing that I can really say could go all the way, most other projects that I personally worked on, I think could use a little extra time in the cooking pot. So Howitzer Tales is my primary concern. We do, of course, bat around other ideas, and right now we're batting around these short film ideas just to keep ourselves relevant and lighten up things during this time, because people could use all the entertainment and the side stuff to ease their minds as possible right now. But overall, Howitzer Tales is the primary concern for me.
So what do you think, as a more esoteric question, that film and television's role is in society? Do you think it's an important cornerstone of society? Do you think it's entertainment? What value do you think it has to people in general?
Well, I think the value changes with the person. There are some people where television is a downright demon in their household. They watch it too much. They don't do anything else, and they should. There are some people who work their butts off every single day. There are some people who are still going to work every single day. They're seeing people dying, and they need something when they get home because it's hard. It's hard out there. So any form of entertainment is important. It's just there's people who need the relief from reality. There are people who take too much relief from reality and don't take control of their own life. So it's really A question like that doesn't just have one answer. There's an answer for each person and how they make choices in their life, how they decide on their life. But overall, I would say um, TV is a very important thing. And for people who have something to say, for people who have a story, for people who just want to get on the news and talk about the local events, TV is huge. It's huge for getting us together. Um, but yeah, you can't just take one answer with that, I think.
What do you think has driven you to become a screenwriter and a filmmaker? What as opposed to becoming a juggler in a circus? Why filmmaking?
Well, if you've ever seen me juggle, you'll know that answer. But um, I can say the way I think about things is very visual. I paint pictures in my own head. In fact, I get caught up in my own head a lot because my head basically always plays a movie. When I'm trying to be a novelist, when I'm writing something with the intention of getting published as a writer, my head kind of works against me because novelists need to pay attention to every little thing that's going on in a paragraph, whereas with script writing, it really complements how I think. I see it, I just write it down. So and so says this. This is an external shot, and here's the shot setup, and here's what they're doing. Here's the action. Here's the dialogue setup. Here's the cuts in between. It just kind of rolls off the fingers a lot better than any other type of writing I've ever done.
Well, you said you were a Star Trek fan.
Mm-hmm.
Been a Trekkie for a long time. What other kinds of movies or television shows you watch?
I'll watch just about anything. I've watched the NCISs that people are very hot on right now. I've watched all the different types of sci-fi, which is probably my favorite genre. It always has been. Um, I I would say right now TV's actually fairly decent. CBS does have a lot of cool shows, but also I think that TV is changing because a lot of my favorite shows are no longer on um, a channel. It's on an app. It's on Hulu. Stranger Things on Netflix. So that's one thing. Um, but yeah, I watch a lot of the science fiction. I appreciate the horror for what it is. Murder mysteries are always interesting. I can only do those in small doses though. But I really watch a little bit of everything.
What would you like to say to people out there thinking about getting involved in screenwriting or filmmaking?
A few things about screenwriting is you have to have a certain mentality for it. Like I said, I can see what I'm writing in video format in my own head before it's ever on paper to be transferred into video format. Um, don't necessarily think you're going to get rich. Have a backup plan. I remember back when I was in second grade, I chose this because it was my get rich scheme, or I chose writing as my get rich quick scheme. And I'm 32 now, and I am not rich. Um, but at the same time, you know, it it can happen just with the right script. So keep trying. It doesn't take a lot to try. If you are thinking of getting married, a lot of people will say that's a horrible idea for someone in the arts because it will pin you down. You can't move to New York, you can't move to LA, not necessarily. A lot of people say the best thing to do is to specifically look at your career as your marriage, and work your ass off at it. Personally, I will say this: for me, I don't think I could have been as good or as heavy-handed a writer if I was a single man, because now I don't just write to create a fun little story that I ha-ha at and never see again because, something happens to my computer. I write because I have kids and I have a wife, and my wife's working her ass off. And here I am, saying, oh, one day I will make it. But it adds a whole other level of I need to make it in order to have a family. You know what I mean?
Yes. Do you have another job?
I did for a long while. I've been working other jobs for my entire life. Recently, I got let go, and I've been writing for the last couple of months solely.
It's interesting you say you need to have a backup plan. There's an interview
Yes.
with Wynton Marsalis uh, a couple weeks ago when his father died, and he had asked his father what his advice was for becoming a musician, and his father told him his advice was not to have a backup plan. Then you're forced to uh, devote all your energy into becoming a musician.
Well, that's true too, but it's true in the idea that you have the talent to do it. There's a lot of people who will end up being, you know, they'll pour their heart and soul into something and it will get shut down. It will get, it will never see the light of day. And there are a lot of people who go through that every single day. I've been shot down multiple times with my own ideas, but if you've got the tenacity for it, stick with it. If you don't, have a backup plan. It's not a necessity to do this for the world. You can do this just for yourself. But it's nice when it works and you actually make something of yourself. So we're hoping.
What was the first script that you did that you actually saw appear in film?
Actually, the first script I did in film was Vic. I did do a theater script once, though. I'm actually a published playwright, which got held by Samuel and French for a while. It didn't do well once it was bought by someone, but the initial play had a lot of very good reviews, and I learned a ton from some very awesome people. But yeah, Vic was the very first film script that I ever wrote, or that I ever had see the light of day, I should say.
Is there any last things you'd like to say to the listeners before we wrap up?
I'm not sure that there is. That was pretty much it. Thanks for taking the time to listen, I guess.
All right. We'll say goodbye to Adam now and wish him luck in his future screenwriting and filmmaking endeavors.
Hey, thank you so much, Edward.